Hey, welcome back to Karen's Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Wat leuk dat je weer kijkt. Dankjewel. I don't mind if a card takes a little more time, and this one certainly does. But don't these mosaic Christmas baubles look absolutely beautiful? You need a bit of patience to die cut everything and fit it together, but then I think the result is worth it. I have tips and tricks for you, so come and join me. Ik heb ook tips en trucjes voor je, dus blijf gezellig kijken. I'll give you another look at the card. Especially in the light you can see how pretty it is with all the glimmering details. I'll show you what supplies I've used, and first of all it is the Decorated with Happiness stamp set, the Champagne Rhinestone Basic Jewels, 2 colours, Shaded Spruce and Granny Apple Green. Then I've used the stitched rectangles, the largest one. I have used the stitched greenery die, and I have used the decorated pine dies, and in particular this bauble and the bow. I'll put them over there on my magnetic board. Then I have used colour combinations of cardstock, and I'll show them to you as well. I have used Poppy Parade for the bows. Then I have used Parakeet Party and Tahitian Tide for one bauble. I've used Fresh Freesia and Gorgeous Grape for another one, and then I've used Coastal Cabana and Orchid Oasis for the last combination, and then I've used the copper foil for the bauble itself. And all of these pieces of cardstock, on all of these pieces of cardstock, I have put adhesive sheet, as you can see here, because that makes adhering them much more easy. I've done most of the die cutting beforehand to shorten this video, because as I explained earlier, it takes a while before you can put this card together, because there's a lot of die cutting involved, but I think the result is worth it. I'll start with the stamping, but I've decided to show you how to cut the cardstock first of all. Here you have Shaded Spruce, which is the card base, and I have already shortened it to 11 inches. That's a measurement that I like to use, because in this case it works better with the die, with the largest die. I'll show you. Normally, if you have an A4 Deutsche Industrienorm, so a standard A4, international standard A4 card, if you would use the largest die on top of that, it would work, but I don't like the idea of having a larger margin there and there. See, to me it doesn't look as nice as on the card, so I decided to cut my piece of cardstock down to 5.5 inches, and then automatically this is just 8 1/4 because it's the international A4. If you have letter, it's just that tad wider, and I'll show you the difference here. This is letter, so here you have 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and this would be the standard A4, you see, international, which would be 8 1/4 by 5.5. So, is there a lot of difference? Well, not really. I can show you. See, it's just that 1/8 of an inch. And again, I think too that with this die, now I don't know where I've put it. Oh, there it is. Again, I think that it works better if you cut your cardstock down to 8 1/4 and then score at 4 1/8. You see? Then all around the margins are equally wide, and I think it just looks better, but that is a matter of taste. So I suggest you cut your cardstock to, well, if you work in international A4, you cut it down to 11 inches and then you cut it in half at 5.5 there. And if you have letter, American letter, I suggest you cut it down to 8 1/4 instead of 8.5. So American letter, you make a cut there. International A4, you make a cut there. I hope I'm still making sense to you. As I explained earlier, I have already cut it down to 11 inches, and I'm going to cut it now at 5.5. And I could do my scoring first, because then I only have to do one score line. So you score at 4 1/8 of an inch. I was looking for the score line there. So that is where you score. And then you make a cut at 5.5. Now I have 2 card bases, which would work really well for the largest die of the stitched rectangles die. So I can put these over here for a minute. Then I'm going to do the stamping, and I have here my template which shows me where to do my stamping so that I can measure out where I want the baubles to go. I've put a photograph of this on my blog as well as all the measurements, so don't worry, you can always look it up there on my blog, and the link is below. Okay, so I'm leaving this over here as a reference. You can't see it, but I'll have to put it out of view for a minute. Then if you want to make 2 cards, and I want to make 2 cards because if you have a bauble and you have the colour combination, with one bauble you can have the centre part and the part on the outside in one colour and then the 2 in there, and then what you have left will become the centre part and the outer part of this next card. So here, for example, you see? So I've just exchanged them. So one run through your die cut machine will give you enough for 2 baubles. You'd have to cut 6 copper baubles, but this is a way of using up all those bits and pieces. So for the stamping, you want a piece of basic white, which is 5.5 by 4 1/8, same size. And first I'm going to do the stamping, and I'm looking for my stamp set. And I've used that one, and that one I'm going to stamp off. So I'm going to stamp in shaded spruce. And I just re-inked my pad, so I hope it's not too juicy. That's okay. So I'm using my reference to do the stamping. That's all the stamping, and you see I've removed my undersheet because I don't need it anymore. Now I'm going to use the stitched greenery die to give my piece of cardstock some relief. Oh, I'm not sure if the word is relief in English now. I'm doubting that. I'll look it up. Because my cardstock is smaller than the die, I just use my Take a Pick tool to lift it up, and you see there's a lovely background going on now. Then I'm going to die cut this with that largest die, and I do stick it down because I don't want it to shift, so I'm just using 2 pieces of tape, and I'm going to stick it onto the card base now because I want to be able to press down well on the various pieces that I'm going to stick on, and I found it's easier to stick it on now. I have a tip for you. Don't use your liquid glue because these holes might allow the liquid glue to seep through, so don't use that. I'm going to use my tear and tape. And I'm not using my seal either, because especially with the Seal Plus, it's so strong and sticky, and there may be fibres sticking up and you might tear your paper. So if you use tear and tape, that's okay. It will adhere your card as well. And there's no seepage, and there's no danger of ripping your card apart. I hope the camera picks this up, but in the middle part I didn't go all the way to the end, and I'll show you why in a minute. First I'm going to use my bone folder and make sure that the tear and tape adheres really well. And then I'm lifting the backing paper. And now for the trick of not putting tear and tape right to the end in the middle. I can hold it there, you see. If you put tear and tape there, then you might stick it might stick to your fingers, but here you see I can keep it on my fingers and check from the top whether I have an equal margin all around, and when I do I can adhere it and it's now nicely in the middle. So that's the card base finished. Then all these little elements, because you're going to cut this die and you're going to fill in the mosaic of all those little bits. So there's a lot of die cutting involved, the colour combination that I showed you earlier. And my trick for keeping track of where all my bits are is a muffin tin, because there I can put all the elements, and these, I mean, I've been making more of these cards and these are all sticky now, so either I'm going to use them on a project or I'm going to give them away to my great nieces, put them in a bag and they can use them as stickers for a project I want to use. So you need 3 of the copper ones, and of the copper ones I have saved, I'll put it on some darker cardstock, I have saved that bit and that bit, they're over there, and I'm going to put them in as well. And then all the others, I'll show you how I did that. Which one did I have to cut? I forgot now. Let me just check. I have the, I'm going to cut the Tahitian Tide and show you where did I put all my, over here. I'm going to die cut one more of these baubles and show you how I separate everything. It's not rocket science, but it may help you if I show you. So I'm going to die cut this one. And these bits do normally stay in the die. So I'll remove my tape very carefully. Now, I don't want that one, that one, that one. So with the gold ones, the copper ones, I did save that piece and that piece, but here I don't want it. Oh, see? Now this has fallen out, but that's the middle bit. I'll put it back in. It's always like that when you're filming, because, well, then things don't happen. I mean, I've made a couple of these cards and they're all stayed in. So that's one part, that's 2 parts, the middle part, left part and left part. So I've sorted them in my muffin tin, and then this one can go in there. I've made 3 bows and I've made 3 copper ones, and I've saved those bits of the copper one. Can you see? Yeah, I just put it into view. And I did save all the copper ones because I think they may look nice in a white die cut bauble. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to make a card with that. So for the time being I've decided to, well, not throw away all the copper ones. Okay, so I have here my tin. I'll put it over here because, well, my desk is just too small. And I'll start with a copper one to show you one. So I lift the backing paper and I do try to touch as little as I can of this sticky back because I want it to stick well. With my bone folder I press down, and then I'm taking those 2 bits out. I'll put them on my silicone craft sheet and you can see better what I'm doing. So this one, that goes towards the top, so again you lift the backing paper and then you put it in either with your hands or using tweezers, and the bottom part as well. It is fiddly, I know, but I do like this card, so I'll use my tweezers here and put it in. I did say about filming, didn't I? Right, see? That's how you make one bauble. I'll go and do the other ones, and then I'll show you with the last one how I did it. So I promised you to show you with the last one how I did it. So I have here the combination of Tahitian Tide and Parakeet Party left, and I'm going to have my Tahitian Tide on the right, the middle and the left. So I'm making my own pieces of mosaic and putting them in. So, my tin is stuck to my magnet, and then I want the middle part of the Tahitian Tide, so that's what's there. I'll just put my magnet away because it keeps sticking itself to the tin. Putting in those tiny pieces, and then I want the one on the left, which I had over there. So it's just a matter of keeping track of your bits and then sticking them on and fitting them into the slots. And I actually don't mind making a card like this. See, the point is, if I make cards that will take me a minute a card, I'll be making so many cards I'd never be able to sell them. So then the Parakeet Party, I want the bit on the right and the bit on the left, and you can see now in my tin that I have 3 left of every little bauble, except of course the bow and the copper ones, because you need 6 copper ones and you need 6 bows to make 2 cards. But these I'm saving to make another card. So you get 2 out of, well, die cutting just once every colour. I mean, if you throw them away, it's a waste of all your work, isn't it? Right, putting my tin carefully over there, and here I have one card finished, almost, because I want the rhinestone basic jewels. Here they are. And I'm taking the smaller ones, and I decided to have copper baubles because the copper goes really well with the colour of these champagne rhinestones. Again, I'm using my bone folder to make sure they adhere well. And now my card is finished. That's it for today. I just love this card. It looks deceptively simple, but I find it just such fun to make. If you enjoy my video, why not take out a subscription and click the bell icon. You'll be the first to know when I have a new video out. Thank you very much for watching. Dankjewel voor het kijken and see you next time. Bye bye. Tot ziens.